And we are live. How you doing, everybody? It's your boy Wardy, and we're back at it with our latest post game as the Metropolitans faltered to the Miami Marlins today. They couldn't go fishing as they lost 1-0, but I'm here to talk about pretty much one thing and one thing only, and that is Edwin Sugar Diaz returning after pretty much a calendar year from the last time he pitched in a game, and man, oh man, did he live up to the hype and then some. You would not think that Edwin Diaz missed the past year with injury with the way he looked surely dominant and then some. And as someone who was quite literally just in attendance, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw me screaming my head up for Edwin. It was an electric experience. So we're going to get into my experience at Clover Park today. Shout out to my amazing sponsor at BetUS as we're at the BetUS house, myself and your favorite MLB creators, Jim L. Ballcap Sports. We also have Robbie Hyde and also our buddies in Giraffe Neck Mark and Mike from Stark Raven Sports. And we're going to be going live shortly after this live show today to go over more MLB over-unders for the season, including Mets over-unders on wins for the regular season and their chances to make playoffs. So make sure you guys watch that one after you watch this. And again, thank you all so much in advance. I appreciate everyone for chiming in live on a replay. Greatly appreciate it. Again, this was not an offensive clinic by any stretch, but I'm not here to talk about the offense today. I'm here to talk about Edwin Diaz, Tyler McGill, and that's pretty much it, okay? Because if there's one big takeaway that you can have from a 1-0 spring loss where the team you lost to had an expected batting average of 0.84, it is your all-star closer returning and looking exactly like he did a calendar year ago. There was quite literally no difference whatsoever. The knee looked sharp. He was so effective. And man, oh man, I got a lot to say. And I also have some tidbits to say about the past couple games for the Mets because we tried to do a post-game show over the past day or so. And of course, right as I was 5 minutes in, we had a connection issue. And then bam, that did it for the show that day. That was the day I flew in to Port St. Lucie. The Mets had their massive win over the Cardinals. Sean Manaea went 3 or 4 shutty. We saw Nate Lavender striking out the side, even though that he's going to start the year in the minors. He's going to be just a call-up away, it really feels like. And they had plenty of offensive production from guys like Mark Vientos, Chi-Man Choi, Brett Beatty. We do have someone that's peeking in. Who is that schmuck? Who is that? Oh, it's Giraffe Neck Mark. There we go, Mark. Actually, let's just pan you real quick. For those that don't know, Mark, Mets Stuff Podcast, you know the drill by now. Make sure you follow, of course. Mark, quick question. Before I even deep dive anything, what is just your initial reaction to Edwin Diaz and the type of first outing he had back with the Mets?
Electricity. It was unbelievable. It was a spring training appearance, and the crowd was ready to go. It was I've never seen a spring training crowd like that ever.
Neither have I.
And he looked great. Striking out the side, literally, couldn't ask for more. Edwin Diaz is back. Don't forget it.
Edwin Diaz is back. Appreciate you chiming in, Mark. And final things I'll share on that just for a second is he's right. It wasn't a sold-out crowd by any stretch. The attendance in Sunday's Clover Park game was far greater than it was today. And the Mets lost yesterday to the Detroit Tigers, of course, where they had a little offense. Today, they once again had a little offense. But what they didn't have yesterday that they had today was, again, the return of Edwin Diaz. And as soon as those trumpets picked up, everyone was on their feet. Everyone was cheering and screaming, including myself. And I had front row witness right there, Edwin Diaz striking out the side. And you want to know the best part of it all? The only contact I'm certain that he gave up was the first pitch he threw that was fouled off and hit CB Buckner really hard. So that was a little welcome party. Hey, CB, Edwin's back. Those pitches hurt, especially if the catcher isn't blocking it properly. So Edwin Diaz, outside of that, pretty much had swing and misses the entire way. It was unbelievable just how good he looked. And I don't care that's against the Miami Marlins. I don't care that's in spring. This was so important to see Edwin Diaz back on a mound, playing in a game that isn't just the backfields against Mets prospects. Again, it was very impressive from Edwin Diaz, who, of course, topped out 98 today. Didn't touch the gun, but again, he doesn't need to when it comes to triple digits because he's got all year to do that. The slide piece was absolutely disgusting, as you guys have been watching the highlight reel right now. Just an absolute thing to beat. Look at that down in. Oh, we missed him so much. I know I did. I hope you guys have been missing Edwin as much as I have, and how appreciative I am to see him back here with the Mets and to be our all-star closer. And right now, BetUS has Edwin Diaz at plus 750 odds currently, the third best odds for all MLB futures to lead the way in saves among all MLB relievers this season. Quick question for you guys that are interested as well. Of course, make sure to click the link down below. That way you can sign up today with 125% bonus for your first 3 deposits. But regardless if you want to bet on this or not, I just want to ask a general question, everyone watching this live on a replay. Edwin Diaz as the third ranked reliever to lead the league in saves this year, are you buying that or are you selling doing that. Right now, BetUS has Emmanuel Clase and Josh Hader just ahead of Edwin, as Edwin sits there at plus 750 to lead the way in saves. So let me know how you guys feel about that watching live on a replay. I appreciate it. And like I said, this is not going to be too long-winded of a live show today, given the lack of production we've seen from the Mets, but it did not matter the game outcome to me. I was going to make sure I'm covering this regardless, because key takeaways was two things: Tyler McGill and Edwin Diaz. And we're going to continue talking about Edwin before I get to Tyler. Yes, he gave up the bomb to Tim Anderson Oppo when Tim Anderson was a 60 WRC plus player last year, but it's spring training, and Tyler outside that looked pretty sharp for the most part. We're getting into him as Aaron today. I also saw that SNY had a little bit of a broadcast issue. I'm not going to lie, I was a little taken back that I brought that much electricity to Culver Park today. Obviously, corny joke. I'm going to be a dad. What do you expect? What I do know, however, though, is that as we saw today for the Mets, the lineup that they rolled out was a lineup very much what we're going to see this regular season, with the only exception being, Jeff McNeil in that spot over someone like Joey Wendell. Continue to smash that like and subscribe on as you guys first chime in live on a replay. Really does mean a lot. But the Mets starting lineup today was initially Brandon Nimmo leading things off, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Francisco Alvarez, Starling Marte, Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos, Joey Wendell, Harrison Bader. Pretty much take Wendell out there, put McNeil in. That's very much a lineup that I think we're going to see throughout good stretches of the regular season. So I'm curious how you guys feel about that, considering, the Mets faced Trevor Rogers today, who in 3 innings only gave up 2 hits, 5 strikeouts. Surprise, surprise, the Mets struggled against the lefty. Then Max Meyer came in, of course, another piece there for the Marlins, had himself 3 scoreless. Everyone got the job done in Miami. We all know that they pitched great today, as did the Mets. I would like to emphasize that too. Tyler McGill today, just for a minute, 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run allowed. Of course, that was the bomb opposite field of Tim Anderson. 2 strikeouts on 61 pitches. He holds a 1.5 ERA thus far through right around 4 starts to this point this spring. But as we take a look briefly about Tyler McGill and his arsenal today, we have unknown, because there was a point where they weren't able to track because of everything being down. But you see Tyler McGill today, again, looked pretty effective with the 4-seam. He topped out right around 96 miles per hour today, sat right around 95.5, which is actually a little bit of an uptick from what he was initially sitting. Cutter looked good too, and of course we saw more of that American sport was very effective. And I got to say this about Tyler McGill. Again, it wasn't necessarily an outing where he gave up no hits, obviously, like we've been kind of privileged the past couple, more so just with not giving up any runs. But Tyler McGill right now is absolutely leading the way for the Mets to be their 5th rotation starter, with Kodai Senga being out, and he has continued to go out and have solid outings for the Mets this spring. Hopefully this is something that can continue, but obviously if he starts to have struggles, then we're going to have more of an interesting discussion on our hand, and the likes of Joey Lucchesi, Jose Budo. These guys are, again, competing for that rotation spot also. They haven't been able to showcase themselves necessarily as much as McGill to this point. There's a reason for it. The Mets absolutely view Tyler McGill as the front runner for this rotation spot, but hopefully Joey, when he is out there, Budo, same applies. When they're back out there, they can continue to prove things and make it a good battle for that 5th rotation spot. That's, I think, what we're all hoping for. We want to see healthy competition. I'm not opposed to someone running away with it, but it's always great if you have 3 guys that all perform pretty well, pretty effective during spring training. Hopefully that can be the case with all these players. So that way, again, we have some good discussions, some friendly debates here as we're watching live on our replay. I do see plenty of you guys in here. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Really does mean a lot. JD Davis is not someone that I'm personally in favor of giving a flyer to. I was actually talking to Giraffe Neck Mark earlier while we were chilling poolside today, and he's for JD. I was against, and my main argument is, you know what you're getting in JD Davis. You know what his ceiling is going to be for you. Why do that and potentially take at-bats away from Vientos when this is an option that is not a JD Martinez level by any stretch? JD Martinez is the exception to not have Mark Vientos as your primary DH to begin the regular season. Aside from that, you want to see what you have in him. We know what JD Davis is going to be at his absolute best. We do not know what Mark Vientos is going to be at his absolute best. So that is my biggest argument, and that is probably how David Stearns feels too, and that's why no one should be shocked if Mark Vientos not only starts the year as the Mets' primary DH, but gets consistent ABs for the most part, and they stop this platoon nonsense where Vientos plays every couple days based on specific matchups. So if we follow ourselves in that category again, then he's going to continue to have his daily struggles, not being acclimated and comfortable at the MLB level, and the same thing to a degree will apply with someone like Brett Beatty. So That's currently where I stand on that front. I can understand if you guys have varying opinions, but yeah, JD Davis, that ship has sailed in my opinion. You know, I went from back in 2019 crying and wanting him to start every day over Todd Frazier at the hot corner because he was a nukes machine. Even the defense was rough. You wanted his bat in the lineup. Now, truthfully, even with him being a better player right now than Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty, I really have a lack of interest there. Even with him being a free player now that he cleared and he's just cut, he's released by the Giants after they signed Matt Chapman. Still not something that I'm personally interested in going back around. I think most Mets fans are only commenting because he's a former Met, and I don't think we would even be having this discussion right now if it was something else. But actually, I shouldn't say that because naturally, if we didn't know what his play was like, a lot of people would be intrigued because his defense did pick up quite a bit once he landed in San Francisco, right? Playing the Bay Area as a Bay Area native growing up, but also the offense too. In 2022, had himself a nice season. 2023 fluctuated quite a bit there. We saw, the big swing and miss on fastballs right down the pipe. I even saw a Giants fan who did a video montage of exactly that for JD Davis a couple months ago. And that's exactly JD Davis in a nutshell. And that's why I don't love the prospect, the idea of bringing him in like that. Wardy, let's see. Oh, thank you so much, Noda. I really appreciate that. You really do mean a lot to me too, my friend. Thank you so much. If the Mets didn't go out and grab some quality free agents, thought Wardy was going to make some noise. Francisco, I voiced everything already. I made it abundantly clear. I would love JD Martinez. I would love Jordan Montgomery. Those are two guys that I would be surprised happen at this rate. I understand how the Mets are operating. There are plenty of things I agree with. Some I don't necessarily agree with right now. And again, if I don't agree with them and I'm proven right as the year goes on that they should have had a further effort in those areas, then we'll have those discussions. And I think as we get to the trade deadline, that's really what's going to go in hand. That's the frustrating thing. I have a feeling the Mets are going to be buyers of the trade deadline for options that are currently available to them at the moment. And that is what will bother me most once we get to that point. But still, we got some time before we get there. So, like I said, I'm not going to harp on much about this game. As you guys know, we cover the majority of games throughout the regular season. Through spring, we've covered a good portion of them as well. Not every single one, especially depending on turnout. And if there's a little offense, and we've already seen the debuts of certain guys, and there's really nothing else that needs to be noted there, okay? But in the case of today, Edwin Diaz, again, with that masterful gyro slider, and of course, what you have there with the four-seam fastball, it's just such a thing to beauty. So, very happy to see Edwin Diaz striking out the side, a masterful return. Siler McGill, many are saying, that had himself a perfectly fine outing again today. I don't have much arguments there. Had some defense too. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with how the sprint has gone. My biggest critique far and away is the lack of offense, but that's something that none of us are really shocked by. At least you shouldn't be. And even though it's spring training, I would like to see the bats start to pick things up a bit more. And it's definitely not fun, especially covering multiple spring games where there's little offensive production. It was awesome to see what they did on the first day when I flew out here around March 9th a couple days ago, but they haven't had any offensive production since. They just took it all out on the St. Louis Cardinals. They haven't done anything over the past couple of games. So we'll see how they perform tomorrow night is their next game. I will not be in attendance for that, but I will still be in the Port St. Lucie area, so stay tuned. We're coming out with amazing content. We came out with a video earlier today, too, for those that didn't see, on player preview and projections, the Bash Bros, and Pete Alonso, and yes, Francisco Alvarez. Make sure to check out that video. I was accompanied by a good buddy of mine, and along with me right now, Mike from Stark Raving Sports, one of the bigger sports channels out there. He's a diehard Mets fan too. Very smart, very sophisticated. Make sure you guys check it out. And Mark, of course, we're going to be doing some fun content working on tomorrow. That'll probably come out in the coming days. And we have a bunch of fan interviews I've done at Clover Park over the past 24 hours, asking fans for their opinions about certain predictions for the season that BetUS is posting on their socials and their platforms that will likely be posted here too. So to everyone that has been supporting the sponsor, thank you so much. Again, a big show will be coming live in less than a half hour at the time of recording this, so make sure you guys are chiming in to both of them, and make sure you chimed in to last night's live show too at some point. Just under an hour, we talked about, again, 2024 Player Award predictions. Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, do either of them have any shot at NL MVP? I made my argument as to why exactly they do, and we went into all the other awards. Such a fun discussion. I mean, this trip has been an absolute blast, and it's because of each and every one of you guys watching, supporting, helping grow this platform to the point that we have. I cannot wait till we get to the regular season. We're going to be doing pop-up tables where I can interact with you guys. We're going to be doing some hosting some shows at bars. A lot of fun stuff is going to come this year. Even if it is an underwhelming regular season, you guys are going to make it worthwhile. So thank you guys so much for the support. Like I said, I know that there's been a lot going on in Mets land lately, including one of the hottest topics being, Brandon Nimmo potentially out of the leadoff spot. I spoke on the potential best Mets lineup on the Bleacher Report app just over the past week or two. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you should still be able to find it if you go through my Twitter and just search Bleacher Report when looking up keywords and scroll down. But I do think Brandon Nimmo is a guy that's still best in the leadoff. I like the power there too. And if he is going to be moving around, I just really hope it's in the right direction with the team. I know that they have other leadoff options, but in my opinion, there's none better that giving you power, OBP, and a true balance to the way that Brandon Nimmo does. So it's going to be a fascinating one to follow throughout spring, heading into the regular season, but definitely a fun debate that we're going to be having. And from there, I want to thank you guys again so much for watching live and a replay. That is going to wrap up the show, so we will be back live again in just mere minutes at the time of recording this. So a lot of Mets content, short period of time. Make sure you guys get on it. And the best part, outside of this show, all the other content that we're pretty much doing is all relevant. It's not something that you need to watch right away. So take your time. Make sure you check out the content. Thank you so much in advance. Appreciate the support. We'll be back live very